bad movies, bad life advice, and even worse life decisions. We cover it all here on the Life with Kenny podcast. I'm your host, Kenny. Grab a beer, sit back, and relax for this week's episode, because things are about to get weird.
What's an all-American girl like you doing with a geek like this?
Forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Fuck me gently with a chainsaw.
Jimmy was off the hook. I know you really don't listen to Slipknot.
Judge Reinhold.
You are listening to a Life with Kenny podcast.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
Welcome to this week's episode of Movie Nights, the podcast series where we discuss the best and worst of cinema. This week I'm joined by my regular co-hosts Kyle.
Hey.
And Patrick.
All right.
And we're also joined by a good friend Kyle as well. So I don't know how we're going to differentiate between the two of you.
Well,
We can just
Kyle,
both answer.
yeah, Kyle 1 speak.
You can just call me fucking
Okay.
retard or something.
And then Kyle 2 speak.
I don't follow commands very well.
Oh, that is actually weirdly similar.
Yeah. Monotone. I'd probably even sound more like him because I'm sick. Just call me sick
Yeah.
boy.
Monotone.
Okay.
this-
Yeah,
for this episode.
you lose the original Kyle status. You're now just patient 0.
Yeah, patient 0.
Hey, that's not me, man.
We
There's
could
3 other guys
shorthand
sick
it
at
to
work.
Patty. Oh wait, shit, that's your name.
Is it
Okay.
weird that I'm starting to taste your bad jokes?
Yeah, I mean you you get used to it.
Could just be semen.
So this week we are discussing the 2006. I'm hesitant to say hit movie, Running Scared, starring Paul Walker, Vera Farmiga, who is from the Conjuring movies, and was directed by and written by Wayne Kramer, who has done nothing else that's notable.
Oh, I love
So-
that guy.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about a little bit of pre-show stuff here pretty quick, but to get this out of the way, I'm gonna ask you guys some questions. Let's start with our new guest, Kyle.
All right.
Have you seen Running Scared before?
No,
Never?
never.
Okay.
You didn't make him watch this, Kenny?
I thought I might have, but
Seems weird.
what do you mean? Seems weird.
Well, you've known me for less time than Kyle, and you're
Yeah.
already making me watch it.
Well, I've known him since grade 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably wasn't even alive when you were in grade 4. You're like 46, right?
Yeah, pretty close. I mean, yeah. And then other Kyle, have you seen this movie before?
I think so.
You don't remember?
Yeah, I have, Kenny.
You have?
were there.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you've seen it all the way.
By the way, is this the same weekend that you puked in the Lego?
Yeah, same weekend. I puked. I watched a
Gross.
movie at a friend's house, Dallas's actually, and he had a bunk bed, and I slept on the bottom bunk of the bunk bed, and we watched this movie. And I remember I rolled over. I wasn't feeling good, and I reached for a bucket under his bed. I felt a bucket, pulled it out, and threw up into it, and it was filled with like probably $600 worth of Bionicle Lego.
I think I was more upset about it than him, though, because I wanted to play Lego so bad.
There's a lot of gaps and stuff for
Yeah.
vomit to seep into.
And
They threw it right out.
they had to just chuck it.
You know, there's no washing that.
That's devastating. Could you put it through a wash machine? Maybe.
I don't know.
It would be loud. Wrap it in.
I think just dump a box of Lego in your dishwasher.
Well, no, you could put it all in like the little cutlery holder so it stays still. I reckon, no, you put it in a colander.
You could probably make something too.
You know what? $1 billion idea. You make, like, you know those hat holders that you put in your dishwasher that hold your hat
Wait,
straight?
no, there's a hat holder.
How many
Yeah.
people are washing throw up off of Bionicle?
It doesn't need to
Lego,
be.
though?
It doesn't need to be throw up, man. Kids are fucking dirty.
At
Yeah.
least one person so far.
Yeah. So I mean, you make a little bucket that has a bunch of holes in it. That you
A
can
colander.
that you just literally just throw that in the dishwasher and give her a go.
I guess so.
Clean Lego.
See, that what
Fucking
would be good
moms of 2019 are gonna love that idea.
if you could do something like that, but also have it carry food. Oh,
A colander. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but it's not an enclosed container that you can just.
what colander are you using that's got a lid?
Why don't
That's
you
what I'm
just
saying.
Why don't you just tape them together? 2 colanders upside down.
Double colander.
There you go. Prototype.
Yeah, I like that. It's like a ball, colander ball. Sphere? I don't know.
Anyways,
What do you think, Kyle? Is that a hit?
I mean, I'd buy it.
Gotta keep that Lego clean.
for all your Lego throw up needs. So Kyle, when's the last time that you've seen this movie then?
Only a couple of years ago. Well,
It's been a while.
maybe like 5, 6 years. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I made Tori watch it, and then she kind of got scared and quit watching it.
Yeah, that seems to be the habit with this movie. I've tried showing it to multiple friends and everybody just asked me to turn it off. Not because it was bad, but because some things were just like a little bit too disturbing or unsettling for them. So that's why I'm intrigued to see how Patrick feels about this, because it could go either way. You'll either like it or hate
you
it.
that I'll still plow my way through that McDonald's,
Yeah,
no matter what this film shows me.
just don't eat
Keep
too
your
much.
Lego out of the way.
Yeah, we don't want you to. We haven't invented that yet, so
Yeah. Well, I've got a colander. You've got a colander. I can get some
Prototype.
tape from work.
I have 2 colanders.
Holy, you're already halfway there. Well,
I got the prototype. I just need to maybe zip tie it or
yeah, I guess it's
garbage bag tie it.
No, you
Twist
need
tie.
Velcro.
Twist tie.
Velcro doesn't stick very well underwater.
Neither do you, Kyle.
That's true.
Sorry, sick boy.
Yeah. Insulting our new guest.
Feeling very attacked.
Fuck you, Kyle.
Patrick, have you seen this movie before?
No.
Okay. Besides me mentioning this movie to you, you know nothing about it, hey?
Didn't know it existed until I met you.
Perfect. Well, in that case, we'll go watch this movie in a little bit. But first, we'd like to discuss what we've been watching and what movie trailers have caught our attention. I sent the guys a few to watch, and nobody did, so we just watched them all together.
Watched them. I do my homework.
First of all, though, I want to say we did get a 5-star rating on iTunes.
Really?
Yeah. Do you want me to read it to you?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so the 5-star rating is from Victoria Spins. The tagline is relatable and interesting. Love the different viewpoints and interesting topics. Always excited to hear the next episode. Also, Kyle sounds like he'd be super hot.
Yeah, she sounds really hot too.
Nice.
So, flattery for our new guest already. That's cool. You've only been on for a couple seconds and we just got that in, so that's perfect.
That's like level par with being in a metal band and having your mum show up to a show.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I
You remember that one show that we played and mom showed up with a mohawk?
we literally
She,
just
like-
played to our parents. That's it.
Yeah, she like spiked she took all her hair and put a bunch of mousse in it and spiked it up into a mohawk
What a
and spray
hero.
painted it pink.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was a good time. Okay, so let's talk about. Do you guys want to talk about what we've been watching first, or do you want to talk about the movie trailers? Because it could go either way. We actually just recorded, fucking 3 days ago, so we probably haven't had time to watch much.
Yeah, no, I didn't really watch anything at all.
I watched a couple things.
Okay, let's go through those first. Kyle, how about you start it off?
I watched a couple episodes of the new season of Sabrina.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the stuff that was already been out, or the stuff that they're.
Just came out like 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
And how is it? I started this series, but
I think this season is probably better than the first so far. I'm watching it mostly because I want to see the crossover for
the Riverdale. You're a
But-
big Riverdale fan.
Not really. Parts of it. I don't like all the fucking teeny
Wait,
bullshit.
hang on just a second. 'Cause
Yeah, we're waiting.
So when I first started seeing Raph again,
Okay.
she was watching Riverdale, and she convinced me that she loved it. Whereas, in fact, 2 episodes in, she knew it was fucking garbage.
Right.
But whenever I would come over, she'd be like, "Oh, do you mind if we watch this next episode?" Just to watch me sit there and cringe
Yeah.
the whole way through.
Yep.
That's how it
But-
started with me too. Like Tori, she wanted to watch it, and I mean it was okay, but I can get into fucking anything.
See, no, I couldn't get into it because there's more fucking backstory in that than there is in Lost.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. It was the main story and then 5 side plots. I was fucking taking notes.
I think the only good thing that it has going for it is that they release it weekly and not all in a season. Because
I
think you
disagree.
would get very bored of watching it.
I think regardless, you get very bored of watching it
I
because it's.
I feel like they should release an episode every 10 years and have it be like a sort of sacrifice to the devil. That everyone on the planet watches it and then it's done for 10 years. Carry
I mean,
on with your
it's
lives.
it's literally one of the worst written and acted TV shows
Yeah.
I've seen in my life.
It's
Like
garbage.
it's to the point where it's comedic.
Yeah, the acting is
Yeah.
horrible.
It's
Like,
like if
it's-
High School Musical had an hour-long shit every week.
And it's so melodramatic that it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle Craig, do you got anything to say about that? Have you watched Riverdale at all or Sabrina?
I made it through 1.5 episodes of Riverdale.
Everybody, round of applause.
And
Last man standing.
I've not watched Sabrina yet, but it looks pretty good. So
Sabrina is like surprisingly decently well done. Do you know anything about Sabrina, or you've watched
I've seen a bit of one of the episodes, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like something I'd really be able to get into off my own back. I'd have to be forced to watch it by someone else.
Yeah, the storyline of it is decent. The thing that I don't like about it is like when it comes to the stuff that draws in teenagers, like the relationship.
it? Says a guy who loves Riverdale.
Yeah. Well, that's what I hate about that show too.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I got like 4 episodes into Sabrina and I liked it so far, but you're saying the new season's a lot better?
It's just I can just from like I'm on the 3rd episode and I can see where it's going.
Right.
And it's very like I think it's gonna get really dark and satanic, so it's kind of cool.
Fucking hail
for a
Satan,
Netflix
my
show.
dude.
Yeah.
I love that shit. What else you guys been watching? Anything?
Oh, I watched The Dirt.
You finally
You did
watched
watch
that
it?
one. What'd you think?
So good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So good.
Have you watched that, Kyle?
yeah,
What did you think about it?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's been getting a lot of bad reviews, but I
You're
liked
a
it.
Motley Crue fan, aren't you?
I used to be a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle's like my go-to classic rock friend when I was younger. Like I was like stuck in my ways of like, oh, punk rock only, and then I go to Kyle's house and he'd have like a Led Zeppelin poster hanging in his room and shit. Like Kyle was like the go-to guy. So
I was the big dad rock guy.
I kind of remember like in high school, it was either you're wearing something yellow or something Motley Crue.
Get out of here. I don't think you ever wore a Motley Crue thing, did you?
I owned one T-shirt at once.
And it was the same T-shirt every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Probably accurate.
Yeah. So what did you think of The Dirt, though? Did you like, what was your favorite part? Because I really liked the Aussie scene. I thought that was great.
I just like the origin story, really, like how
Right.
it all came to be, and then
Yeah.
like the scene where they play the first show, and they're just getting a fucking fight.
Yeah.
It reminded me of being in a band all over again.
I wish I'd been alive like in the 80s to kind of see that shit unfold,
Right.
because that was like the birth of that kind of genre,
Man.
right?
I always say if I could go back, if I could be the age I am and go back to
Yeah.
a time, it would always be the like early 80s.
Yeah, definitely. Late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Just bosh it out. Just after most of the wars.
Yeah, like that'd be a sweet time to be like
Yeah.
fucking your teenage years.
Because if you went back in the 60s, you'd be probably drafted off to Vietnam and then dead,
Yeah, true that.
you know. So there's that.
Or you come back even more racist.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be bad for me. I'm already trying to stay in Canada.
Okay. Anybody else got anything else? Kyle, have you been watching anything? Kyle Craig?
I went and saw Howl's Moving Castle last night, which I've seen before, but it was good.
How was that? Was a good movie. Have you seen it before?
Yes.
Are you a big fan of Miyazaki films?
Most Studio Ghibli stuff I love, so it was pretty good.
So
Yeah.
do you guys know what he's talking about?
I haven't got a fucking Scooby-Doo what he's on about now.
No, Kyle. Any
It's
idea?
kind of like Scooby Doo, isn't it?
I don't know. It's like a really well animated like Japanese anime movies, but they're like apparently really well written and stuff too. They're highly praised, and there's like a mini festival going on this year because it's like an anniversary from when the studio started. So they're doing like one movie every couple months or whatever in the theater. I was thinking about maybe getting you guys to go see one with me at one point. There's one called Spirited Away. That's supposed to be really good.
I think it's like a weird little adventure tale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen bits of it 4 different times because it was on TV a lot in England.
Yeah, I think that was kind of my experience with it as well. So I figured that's something I might want to check out. But yeah, Kyle's been going, which is cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You guys should see it and then debate whether Howl is the protagonist or the antagonist.
Is that like the big thing of that movie? You don't know, or
No, I mean my coworker fight over it.
oh really? Yeah, like I don't know.
We're on
man.
your side, Kyle.
Should
whatever you
probably
say.
speak to HR about that, really.
just fist fighting over a cartoon. I've been watching the Madeline McCann disappearance. Madeline McCann finally
Nice.
started out with Melissa. I didn't finish it, but she did, and she listened to our episode, and she texted me and was like, "Man, your friends don't like pay attention to things that they watch." Because
I fell asleep through maybe 6 different episodes.
yeah, apparently a lot of
through.
the stuff you guys were saying was all over the place.
Oh yeah,
Well,
it was,
it's fucking like that was. It was really. It's really hard to talk about it when.
Yeah, they didn't really do it in any kind of order
Yeah.
as such.
They just kind of sprinkle in information
yeah,
throughout the whole
Like-
series.
and that's why some of it was quite difficult to watch, because it was maybe 30 minutes of what you already knew, and then 5 minutes of new information.
And then they really like contradict a lot of things in it too.
Yeah.
Like they'll say one thing and then they'll talk about something else and then they'll go back and say, but that wasn't actually.
Yeah, I feel like
What
even if
people
we
believe.
spoke about it just after watching it, it still would have been a complete
Yeah.
fucking shambles.
I do have to say that knowing that she hasn't been found going into it made it more difficult for me to want to pay
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. I by like the 4th episode, I wanted so badly to just Google if she was found.
Hearing about you guys talk about the sniffer dogs though, when that showed up, I think I got like 4 episodes in. I was like really invested into watching
Yeah.
that just because like that really intrigued me because it was weird how they found stuff but also found nothing.
That
And
was
it
one thing
kind
that-
of questionable about the guy doing it personally.
I got to that episode and I was the same. I was like, fuck, this is getting real good now.
Yeah.
But that was in episode 5 that happens.
Is it?
But they do that for a reason. There's 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So they bait you halfway through into thinking that there's going to be
And then the
a
rest of
bunch
the
shit
episode's like
unfold.
nothing. It's just about other
Yeah.
people.
The rest of it is literally just speculation as
Yeah.
to maybe what happened.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
I talked about it a little bit last week when we did our Pet Cemetery episode, I think, but I've been watching this show from the 80s called Tales from the Dark Side. It's got shorts written and directed by like Stephen King and George Romero and all these famous people. It's still going really good. Season 2, there's like hit or miss episodes, but yeah, I definitely would recommend that to people who like stuff like Tales from the Crypt Keeper. Shit like that. On that same idea of anthology TV series, I started the new Twilight Zone show. Do you guys know anything about this?
I think you told us a bit about it last time.
Yeah, you did.
So it's a TV series that I think is being rebooted by Jordan Peele. The first episode, the comedian was kind of tough to get through, and it was like even tougher for me because I wrote a short story that was very similar to this, with a twist that was better than the twist in the episode. So it was kind of like hard to watch something just take like kind of a shitty turn.
In your opinion.
Not that you have a biased opinion or anything.
Right. But that's what, yeah, I don't know. I would say that one's probably going to be the one that they shouldn't have started it off with, because I feel like a lot of people will probably watch it because it's such a slow burn that it'll probably turn people off who are there for like the twist and the anticipation and build up. The second episode has what's his name? He's like the second brother from Step Brothers. His name's Adam something.
Sandler?
No.
Is it like the curly-headed one?
No. The one who would lick his butthole for shoulder pain.
Oh,
That
yeah,
guy.
yeah. I know
But
who you're talking about.
I can't think of his name right now, but he is the main character in that one, and that episode's called, I think, 10,000 Feet in the Air, and it's all about this guy. He gets on an airplane that was delayed. It's during a thunderstorm. He sits in a seat, and in front of him, he finds a MP3 player that has a podcast on it that's playing, and it says the disappearance of Flight 1015, which is the flight that he's on. So he picks it up, and he starts listening to it, and it's going play by play, basically shit that's happening to him. And it's like really strange. It was a really good watch. I would recommend if you're gonna watch the Twilight Zone episode. There's only two episodes out right now. I would say maybe skip the first, watch the second one first, and then maybe go back if you want. But yeah, and then I also watched What We Do in the Shadows, the TV series. Do you guys know anything about What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
None of you guys know
No.
What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
Holy shit. Okay, we're going to watch this. It originally was a movie with Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords. It also was written and directed by Taika Waititi, who is the guy who did the latest Thor movie. He's also Korg from the Thor movie. Funny New Zealand guys, they had a movie come out about is a fake mockumentary about vampires. It's hilarious, but they turned it into a TV series, and the TV series is almost just as good as the movie. Now I want to make you guys watch that. I can't believe you guys don't know anything about this.
No, I've seen it on Netflix, but it's never been something that I've wanted to watch.
Speaking of like podcasts, I've been listening to that Dax Shepard one you told me to, and they were talking about like some documentary that came out that's kind of like making a murder. Have you heard of? It's called The Jinx.
Yep.
With Robert Durst.
Yeah, I actually have it on DVD.
Okay, we should check that out sometime too.
Yeah, there's a twist in that one that we shouldn't research if we're going to do that, but pretty phenomenal story. Do you know anything about Robert Durst and the Jinx?
No.
Okay, well, we got more stuff for the list.
Yeah, no, I never heard about that at all.
They were talking.
Was it spoiled for you at all?
No, not at all. They didn't want to do spoilers on it. They just keep saying, like, it's been in like 3 or 4 episodes. They've talked about people should go watch it, and they very highly recommend it. And they said it's kind of like Making a Murderer, but like way better.
Yeah, it was.
Making a Murderer was slow.
Yeah,
this one's also slow. It's basically about a guy named Robert Durst. I think he's in like his 70s now, but they basically take him through 4 different murders over the past 40 years that he's been accused of. I think one was like his ex-wife who fell out of a window in their mansion, and weird stuff like that. There was like 4 different murders that they were accusing him of. And it basically goes through all of them and theorizes whether or not he did it, and kind of goes through case by case to show the evidence whether he did it or not. And the whole time you're going to be on the fence about it until the very end. There's a twist that happens that's legendary in like the true crime world now. So
like they were talking and said everyone thinks it's one of the greatest endings to, I guess, documentary.
Right. Off air, I will ask you guys if you want me to spoil it for you, and I can, but I won't do it recording just in case anybody wants to go watch that series. It's called The Jinx. I think there's 8 episodes. Do you know anything about that, Kyle?
Not at all, actually.
Perfect. Back to being quiet, Kyle, over there. That's what we're going to call you, is Quiet Kyle today. Okay, so we also watched some trailers, because last week I had fun talking about trailers. First, I'm going to ask you guys about one that I showed you called Handjob Cabin.
Jesus.
What do you guys think of that?
I'll pass.
You don't want to see Handjob Cabin?
I probably wouldn't watch that, no.
So it was obviously like a parody trailer.
I gotta say, like, the first like minute of it seemed like it could have been a good movie, like, you know, but just your average, like, everyone going on a camping trip and stuck out in the woods with no cell reception, but it was like shot very well.
Yeah, it was a trailer that I saw like 3 years ago that was kind of going around to trick people, but I don't think it worked very well because it's titled Handjob Cabin, so I don't think it really tricked everybody who just clicked on it. So
yeah, they could have chose a funnier name probably,
or like a more tricky name. Yeah, and then the next one we'll talk about is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
That looks fucking sick, man.
Do you guys know anything about this movie at all?
Just what we watched.
I just saw the trailer for the first time yesterday.
Oh, yeah, because I sent it to you.
You sent it to me, and it looks freaking good. Really good.
Do you guys know any backstory about this movie?
Nope.
Nothing?
It's from a book.
So it's going to be, I think, directed or produced by Guillermo del Toro, who's famous for doing movies like Pan's Labyrinth and really cool visionary
Pan's Labyrinth
filmmaking.
is an incredible movie.
Haven't seen it.
What?
You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
No.
Hey, you get to pick
Other
your
Kyle?
movie next week.
I've
so.
seen it, yes.
It's fucking great.
So
right?
great.
You'll get to pick a movie next week, so you can like mow that over. But
Yeah.
so Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was a book that was written for kids. Back when I was growing up, it was like the Goosebumps age, so we'd watch Goosebumps. Are You Afraid of the Dark? And then a book came out called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark that I think was a compilation of a bunch of different,
remember that, actually.
bunch of different writing. But
Was it? Because I vaguely remember a show like Goosebumps, but it was just way scarier.
probably Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
might
that's
have been it.
probably it.
Fair.
We're going to do something involving this more in the summer where we're going to sit around the fire and maybe read you guys some spooky stories. We'll bring the recording equipment and have a good time there. And maybe I'll find a scary story to read in the dark from that book to read and show you guys
Yeah, man.
the
That'd be a good
ropes.
time. I'm excited
But
for that.
all the creatures you guys saw in that trailer are actually renderings from illustrations that this guy drew for that book. So this book is kind of well known because it's a bunch of like kids scary stories, but the images that are applied to them are genuinely terrifying. Like it gave kids everywhere nightmares.
Yeah, no doubt. Some of the stuff in that trailer looked fucking wild.
Yeah.
man.
So there's it's I think it's got a similar vibe to that Goosebumps movie that came out, but it's definitely going to be a lot more scary from what I feel.
And when is that one supposed to come out?
This summer, I think in June. So that might be one we could go see for the podcast. We'll talk about it later on. One I definitely want to go see for the podcast, just because there's so many actors in it, is our next trailer called The Dead Don't Die.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
How do you feel about that, Patrick?
Yeah, that looks funny. Man. That looks
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, sorry, I just had to Google some of those images from that book, and they are fucked.
They're pretty crazy, hey?
They are super fucked.
A couple weeks ago, when we did that zombie type movie, I was saying how like I hate zombie movies.
Yeah.
That one actually looks like it will be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look funny.
And like
Oh, you haven't seen Shaun of the Dead either, hey?
I never got through the whole thing. That was the issue.
Just add in movies to throw to Patrick for
Yeah,
his next
fuck.
week pick.
Oh, it might have to be either Pan's Labyrinth or Shaun of the Dead. I'll see what kind of week I'm having.
Yeah. So, yeah, The Dead Don't Die. It's got Bill Murray, Adam Driver, friggin' Iggy Pop is in the trailer. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it looks like it's promising, but I also felt the same way about that movie, The Scout's Guide to the Apocalypse. Have you guys seen that one?
Garbage, yeah. Pure garbage.
So I was pretty disappointed by that one. Kyle's very quiet over there. No thoughts on any of this stuff? You got anything?
On this trailer, it looks like, I don't know. I'll definitely go watch it.
Yeah.
I hope it's good.
See, with Bill Murray, I kind of get like the Zombieland vibe in general just because Bill Murray's in a zombie movie. But they are making a Zombieland sequel, so
They
I
are?
don't know.
I think Bill Murray is gonna be really funny with Kylo Ren. I don't know his real name, but
Adam Driver.
yeah.
Yeah, it has. I think for me, it could go either way. It's either going to be like a 9 out of 10 comedy, or it's just going to be like very, very disappointing. And that's how I feel just watching that trailer. Like, I don't think it's going to be.
I don't know. I think it will probably be good because everyone in the movie, bar like the teenager characters, all looked pretty dry.
Yeah,
Like before the apocalypse even happened, they were fed up.
right.
And it happened, and then there was
right.
like no real difference to them.
Right. Selena Gomez is in that movie as well.
Yeah.
From the trailer. Yeah, I don't know. That one looks promising. That might be one to check out for the podcast as well.
Yeah. I feel like a character's always going to be better if their reaction to an apocalypse isn't, but it's more like,
Just fed up, just annoyed.
fine.
Right. That was like Adam
As
Driver.
if my week didn't suck already.
Yeah, man.
That's like Adam Driver, where they're like, "Do you think what kind of animal do you think it was?" He goes, "I think it was a zombie." And he just looks at him like, "What?" Yeah. So the next trailer, we got two more to talk about here. I'm going to do it in this order, though. We watched the Good Boys trailer, film
I think that's
think
going to be shit.
written by
Yeah.
Seth Rogen.
I think
I
it's going to be
agree.
fucking terrible.
I think it's gonna be crappy too.
Yeah.
And you know what? It probably will get quite a few good reviews because Seth Rogen did it, and I don't know. I
Well,
just
he's a funny guy, right?
yeah. There will be lots of funny parts, but I think they showed a lot of them in the
Yeah, no doubt.
trailer, which always ruins a movie.
Yeah. What was that that Christmas movie he did with Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
The Night Before.
Yeah. Did you guys like that movie?
Didn't watch it.
Parts of it were funny.
Yeah.
I
I
thought-
actually surprisingly like that movie.
The guys at work all quote lots of shit from that movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like this movie will feel similar to that, where there'll be like parts that are trying too hard to be like feel good moments, and then they'll just kind of like throw the comedy back at you. But yeah, we'll see how that one turns out. Because Superbad looked okay with the trailer too, but it ended up being like a legendary movie. Like people just love that movie.
Yeah. I feel like 12-year-old me would love that movie for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing is
Yeah.
like with like the people who are like behind Superbad, like it's tough to say because that movie did do so well, and this basically just looks like a ripoff of that to me. Even like the party where they go to steal the alcohol, like that whole scene.
Well, it's like Superbad, but you can't do that much with genuine underage kids.
Right.
You know.
There was one joke in the trailer that was really funny, and it was when they were searching for porn, and he
Yeah.
mistyped the N. I don't know why that's funny, but it's great. Okay, so the last trailer we're going to talk about here. My microphone's all over the place. I got to find the sweet spot. Brightburn. Do you guys got any thoughts on this trailer?
I probably won't watch it.
You won't?
I will watch this one on Netflix, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is the only superhero movie I've seen in a long time that I've been like, wow, I'd really like to see that.
Yeah, I'm like,
Because it
That's a
blows my
superhero
fucking
movie?
mind how every superhero on the planet, any movie, they're all fucking good guys. Why are there so many good
Right.
guys?
I thought he was just an alien.
No, it's Superman, right?
yeah, so the idea is like, I think the idea he got for this movie was, so the origin of Superman was sent to Earth from his planet that was about to blow up, and he's like the last living person of his race was the idea of it. But if you've seen Superman movies, you know that there was also Zod, who was like basically evil Superman. So the idea of this is like, what if the wrong like alien got sent to Earth instead of Superman? It was like the bad guy that has all of Superman's powers. And I think it's gonna play with like whether or not these are things that like somebody learns or is just born with that evil and what they do with it. And
Like realistically, if you realized you had superpowers as a kid in today's world,
right.
you wouldn't develop very well.
Well, so I
as a
feel like there's
person.
two aspects. There's like that new movie Shazam that's out right now that looks really good, and it looks like a kid that just has fun and does good with the superpowers. And I feel like the only other way you can do that and make it watchable is if you go completely opposite and you turn it into a really graphic horror movie. And I feel like from that trailer, it looks promising. And it's directed or produced by James Gunn, who did the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but he's also very well known for doing some really good horror movies. Like his one movie, Slither. Have you guys seen or heard of that movie?
I think I've seen Sliver.
It's unreal. Like the special effects and stuff in that movie are just unbelievably well done. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that one. But it sounds like me and maybe Patrick are the only ones that are hyped on that one.
I
so.
had no idea that was like a Superman thing though.
Yeah, that's the only
What did
thing
you
that
think
I
when
know
you
about
watched it?
Superman.
I just thought it was an alien came crash down kind of thing in the trailer.
And you just didn't piece it together that it might be.
Well, they didn't show any Superman symbols. Like they
That's
showed
what all
that
those
one
random symbols
Yeah,
were,
but-
right? I think
I don't
because if he did use the Superman symbol, it's not a DC movie. You could get in trouble for that. So he had to do his own take on it, right? So, but yeah. Other than that, we do have a couple more movie requests from listeners that I'm going to be adding to the bucket. So we're going to keep up our trend of each of us picks a movie, and we'll do a listener one until we either run out of movies. I don't care if people resubmit different movies, but if there's a movie that you send in and it looks like dog shit, or one that I don't think we'll get much out of watching, we'll probably just ignore that one. I got a couple of those, but there's a few that might be
What's the
funny.
most out there one you've gotten?
There was one that actually Kyle's wife sent in called Dr. Giggles.
Oh yeah.
It's like a really B horror movie apparently. I
wanna-
looked it up. One site gave it like 90% positive reviews, and the other one it's like at like 9%.
Oof.
It's
So-
it was suggested by like she listens to lots of YouTubers, and I'm pretty sure she told me that it was two different YouTubers talked about it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going to throw that one on the list and see. But one of the ones that I'm kind of interested in doing just because I've seen it as a kid. And I think we could have a good time talking about it is this movie called Coyote Ugly.
Oh, man.
Do you guys know about that movie?
I've heard of it. Never watched it, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't remember the story of it at all.
Yeah,
It's
so
long ago.
it might just be like a really bad romantic comedy. More heavy on the romance side, but I think it's cheesy as fuck. It's
This
about,
was a suggestion or your suggestion?
Oh, it was a suggestion. So it's basically about women who get paid to dance on bar tops at country bars.
Okay.
And they're basically borderline strippers. But we'll talk about it if we do an episode on that. So,
Alright.
but for now, we'll go watch Running Scared, and then we'll come back and talk about that. So
Nice.
Stay tuned. All right, we are back from watching Running Scared. Running Scared, the budget of $17 million. It grossed $6.8 million.
Ouch.
That's rough.
Score of 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb, 41% Rotten Tomato score, 3.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and 90% of Google users liked this movie. Now, let's start with our new guest, Kyle Craig. Do you regret watching this movie?
Not at all. No.
What would you rate this movie, 1 to 5?
1 to 5? 3.
A 3? Okay.
3.
Kyle, what would you rate this movie? And do you regret watching it?
I don't regret watching it, but it was better the last time I watched it.
So 1 to 5, what would you rate it?
Probably 3.5.
Okay. I'm going to give it about a 3 myself. Patrick, do you regret watching this movie?
No. Don't regret watching it.
Are you sure about that? Because your initial reaction was leading me to believe otherwise.
Well, no, it was just stupid. It wasn't bad.
See, sometimes you just need a stupid movie, though.
Yeah, I would probably give it maybe a 3.
Okay. I'm surprised you're on the similar level to us because you seemed pretty upset when this wrapped.
Before watching this time, I was probably 4.5.
Yeah, I was the same
But
way.
I picked out a lot of things that fucking pissed me off.
Such as how fucking long this movie felt.
Yeah,
and the shitty editing.
That was
Really shitty editing.
There was no consistency with it. It stopped halfway through.
It was just like they were trying out different filters.
Yeah.
And like how many times did they like do a lens flare while zooming in and out really quick? It was like the camera was trying to focus, but it couldn't.
It's like if Star Trek, the remakes, got Instagram.
Yeah. Back in 2006.
Just lens flares and filters everywhere.
Okay, well, let's talk some of these other reviews real quick. You guys got those on your phone?
Yeah.
I'll start with mine. We'll do 10 out of 10 first this time. This one was written by Mark Johnson the second, which means Mark Johnson the first was already taken.
Does your laptop have an off button?
This one's a 10 out of 10. This is one of the best movies I have ever seen, period, really, is the tagline. Do you want to sit on the edge of your seat for 2 hours? If you do, see this movie, period. This plot constantly switches views, aspects, emotions, and events. It keeps you running all the way to the end of the movie. All the reviews I have seen online are poor at best. Modern day movie reviewers are artsy fartsy, ride the modern wave, whatever is in morons. This movie kicks butt on a pure level. I promise you will be thrilled you saw this movie. If you like it, tell your friends, drag them to the theater to see it. Buy it when it releases to DVD and support this movie. Do not download it. This movie is raw and not for children or the faint of heart. Make sure you support this movie if you liked it. And that was from March 2006.
Yeah, well, obviously he can't be trusted because he used the word period instead of just putting a full stop.
Twice.
Yeah. Instantly labelled as a liability to humanity.
Comma, also. Just kidding. Yeah, so that was the 10 out of 10. Who's got the 5 out of 10 here?
Me.
All right, let's roll through these.
This is from ProPoint. It's a 5 out of 10 from February 2007. Sophomoric and deranged. This film reeks immaturity. Okay. Wouldn't say immaturity, but complete with morbid fascination with violence, irrelevant and wholly implausible subplots and fantasies about child molestation and revenge. With an extremely weak plot, the director seems to have cast aside all character development and instead focuses on an incredible exhibition of gratuitous violence. It attempts to manipulate the viewer into a violence-fueled adrenaline rush. Didn't feel that, personally. I'm going to have to disagree with you there, chap. It made this viewer hit the forward button a few times too often, and I ultimately didn't bother to finish it. How? So altogether, you probably watched about 10 fucking minutes if you were hitting the forward button and didn't watch all of it.
Yeah, or you were just skipping over like the unnecessary scenes that they were switching back to
you
a
don't
bunch.
Therefore get to rate it out of 10. You get to rate it out of 3.7.
Yeah, right.
Fucking stupid bastard.
All right, Kyle, you got the 1 out of 10 because you picked this movie. You got that handy?
Yeah, this one's from Burt's.
Yeah.
In 2006. 1 out of 10. Tagline is, can't think of a bigger waste of time than this film.
Don't sound so enthusiastic about it.
So this one says, shotgun showdowns, oral sex, racial...
Epithets?
Yeah, sure, that word. Family violence and more swear words than real words. In the first 20 minutes. Oh, all in the first 20 minutes. Right on.
You're not even facing your microphone.
I'm trying to read. Where the fuck was I now?
All in the first 20 minutes.
If this sounds like an ideal situation to you, you'll love Running Scared. However, if you don't consider tricky camera shots and the copious amounts of blood compensation for an unlikable cast, convoluted plot line...
Convoluted?
Sure. And an oral... And a... Fuck, I can't even read this. Plot line and an overall horrible film experience, this is probably not for you.
Right.
So basically, saying shitty movie.
You had a tough time reading that one. I'm sorry. I'll give you a different one next time.
So I can think of a few bigger wastes of time.
Shitting?
Not doing anything. No, shitting. I find that quite nice because I get to watch videos while I'm pooing.
Which is a waste of time, though.
It's not a waste of time because I'm learning.
Technically a waste of time.
How? I'm pushing poo out of my body. If I was doing nothing, I would be leaving poo inside, which therefore means technically I'm in fact doing nothing, which is a bigger waste of time.
You could just not eat and then you wouldn't have to shit.
Well, yeah, that'd be great until I die.
Yeah.
Then that's just a massive waste of time because I'm dead.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad you guys brought up shitting in this episode because I didn't know if our German listeners were tuning in or not. So
yeah, no, we got you. We got you.
I had to bring that in there.
All right, let's rush through this trivia and then we'll talk about the absurd levels of bullshit in this movie.
Do you want the summary?
Yeah. Patrick wrote a summary for this movie, which I am interested in because this is a movie that I figured would be pretty hard to write a summary for. So.
Yeah, no, it's probably not going to be great, but okay. So I'll wait for Kyle to finish blowing his nose. Bless him. He's feeling a bit rough.
For me, it's basically Vin Diesel had family in the Fast and the Furious. Paul Walker had sports metaphors in this movie.
Okay, so Running Scared follows a criminal enterprise trying to operate during the midst of the Cold War where tensions are high between Italians, Russians, and kids and prostitutes. Pretty sure that was the Cold War. Not sure. Doesn't matter. They encounter troubles when the cameraman develops a severe case of Parkinson's and rapidly edits between gunshots, causing a drug deal to go bad. Too Fast, Too Furious is assigned with the task of getting rid of the gun, which shot a number of dirty cops, but naturally decides to store it in the safety of his own home, in a place where his and the neighbours' kids regularly play. A perfectly sensible plot device, if you ask me. His communist neighbour then takes the gun and shoots John Wayne, which sparks a number of chase scenes and rapid edits, which make every shot nice and confusing. After vomiting a few times, then seeing a kid befriend a prostitute, then arrested, then kidnapped, and then choked to death, and then brought back to life. Jesus, this kid isn't going to grow up well. Anyway, Too Fast, Too Furious pretty much has no fucking idea what's happened through most of this shit. He gets a grilling from his wife, then re-kidnaps the kid. Then the kid is kidnapped for a third, maybe fourth time, I don't know. We're then introduced to my favourite theatrical show, Old Men on Ice, which is an artistic piece shot entirely on a blacklit ice rink. Highly recommended. Also, Too Fast, Too Furious is a cop, and his face can move wounds around like it's no problem at all.
Right. That was it?
Yep.
I'm going to get something out of the way here. If you have seen the Fast and Furious movies, I'm assuming you have.
Nope.
You haven't. So Paul Walker also plays an undercover cop in that movie,
And
which I'm going to say that Running Scared is a prequel to the Fast and Furious franchise.
It did shock me though when he said he was a cop, because I completely forgot about that.
Wait, it's a prequel?
I'm going to say it is.
That's a tenuous link, isn't it?
Well, so in the Fast
I
and
actually
Furious,
could see it, because the very first of Fast and Furious, when he comes out and says he's going to be a cop, he gets basically arrested for doing dirty shit while he is an undercover cop.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's...
And
saying this is a prequel to the Fast and Furious is like me saying that I have African relatives. I might, but fuck me, you'd have to do some digging to find out how.
right? So why ruin it for us, man? We're trying to link this to the Fast and the Furious series.
and so now he's got it. Now he's got a new identity at the end of this movie, and he's got a nice car, and he could just fucking be a
So in the
cop
Fast
again.
and the Furious movies,
Yeah, but his car was a lowrider.
He's gonna ditch the Mustang for a Civic.
yeah. Well, if you're an
He
undercover
learns
cop, you
how
got to do what you got to do.
He says he's a muscle car guy in the Fast and Furious. So they're like, well, you're gonna have to learn how to drive Jap cars.
Ooh, we're tying this together.
This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Hey, man, you're the one that likes conspiracy theories.
you're
I'm just
making-
throwing it out there.
You're making this movie stupider than it is.
Okay,
Somehow.
let's pull out the trivia here. I will start this one off with the F-bomb is dropped 330 times in this movie. The movie is 122 minutes long, which means it averages 2.7 fucks a minute, which is 2.7 more fucks than Patrick could give for this movie.
Fuck me.
Yeah, that sounds about right. actually.
330 F-bombs dropped in this flick.
I'll probably get through that in a week.
That's what I'm saying. We just spent 2 hours listening to Paul Walker going, "Fucking Nikki, oh fuck," over and over
All right,
again.
so the
Said
next
a lot.
trivia is Thomas Jane declined the role of Joey Gazelle due to scheduling conflicts. Paul Walker was the second choice. Who is that?
You don't know who Thomas Jane is? He's the guy who played the Punisher in the Punisher movie, and he's also the guy from The Mist. If you remember The Mist,
Nope.
he's
Yeah,
a phenomenal
I
actor.
feel like he probably would have been better in this than Paul Walker, honestly.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be a prequel to Fast and the Furious, so I'm kind of glad
It's
they went
not
with
a
him.
prequel to the Fast and
I mean,
Furious.
whatever you say there,
It's
but
a garbage standalone.
you didn't want a sequel?
I didn't want the movie.
Mr. 3 out of 10 or 3 out of 5 over here.
No, so I tell you why I gave it a 3 out of 5 is because of the amount of different stuff that happened.
Right.
In movies like that, I love it when they have more
Variety.
than one villain, you know.
Yeah.
It was really cool how they added all of these different,
Yeah. It's like
basically like mini shows together.
yeah, it's the amount of it sheds a bit of light on the amount of fucked up stuff that does happen just
At nighttime
plain
in
sight. Yeah, right.
where is this, New York? Oh,
Yeah,
probably
which
not
I
New
just
York.
really liked because it's shit like that happens.
Yeah.
It's not a far fetched concept to think that is something that somebody somewhere is doing.
I feel like they could have trimmed out like maybe 40 minutes of this to link it all together.
Yeah, they had 300
Because-
fucks in there, so
Well, I mean, like also, there was like scenes with random janitors and shit that probably didn't need to be put in as plot devices.
They
that
were just
pretty
making it. They were just trying to make it so this gun
Yeah.
can go fucking everywhere.
yeah, I liked how far it traveled because it gave them an excuse to link all this shit together.
Yeah,
Right,
And
but I
the
feel
fact
like-
that it's a pretty cool looking gun, like a lot of people would want it, right?
Yeah. Plus, it's America. So, guns.
All right, you got trivia there, Patty?
Okay, Wayne Kramer was shocked to find out that the movie got an R rating on the first submission. He states in the DVD commentary that he thought that it would get an NC-17. What the fuck is that?
They won't release it theatrically, and it's really hard to get in, like, back then, I guess, Blockbusters and stuff. They'd have to put it behind an adult-only section, where R ratings basically... It's basically like anybody in the public can get it, but you have to show ID.
Just like 18.
It's like 18.
Yeah,
it's basically like the equivalent of like making a normal movie a porno, like just like having it in its own section, and it's harder to get access to. So
yeah, I didn't think this movie was really that bad at all.
Yeah,
That was the first cut of it, though, he said.
yeah. So lots of movies.
Still not a prequel, boys. I'm just putting that out there.
I don't know, man. we'll get to. I like how your very first question when you were writing that was like, was Paul Walker in Tokyo Drift? And that's literally the only Fast and the Furious movie he wasn't in.
Well, yeah.
While he was alive.
I just wanted to call him Tokyo Drift. Thought it'd just be a funny name.
Too Fast, Too Furious instead.
Yeah. Right. Next trivia.
Which worked perfectly for this movie because the entire time he was Too Fast, Too Furious. He might as well have been doing the meth that
I
the
feel
fucking
like
neighbors were cooking.
Most of it was him driving around like a fucking lemon.
That's all the Fast and Furious anyway. Adds to the theory that it's a prequel.
Exactly. All right, so when Joey and Oleg go back to the diner to find the gun that Oleg has placed in the toilet, there is a police officer sitting at a table having dinner. Upon entry to the diner, Joey looks around and doesn't say anything, but nods to the officer sitting down, signifying that he must have known the officer due to being an undercover cop himself. Damn. That's a fucking interesting little piece. Do you remember that scene?
Well, right at the beginning.
No, like when they go back to get the gun. After he dropped Nikki off and he grabs Oleg, they go back to the diner. And he gives the cop a nod.
That cop's taking a shit, and they gotta wait for him to get out of there.
Oh, yeah?
Before they go into the bathroom, when they walk in there, there's all those cops in there.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks over at the one, and he kind of, like, gives him a nod. Like he knows him.
Didn't notice that.
I just kind of assumed he was doing it to avoid suspicion. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool little tie-in, I guess. Kyle, you got... I think you guys each have one more piece of trivia. We'll roll through, and then we'll talk about this movie, because it's getting late. And there's a lot to talk about.
All right. Disheartened by the film's low box office openings, Paul Walker returned home from dinner only to discover that Quentin Tarantino had left a message on his machine praising the film and Walker's performance. Walker was relieved and happy that someone like Tarantino had enjoyed the film.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool.
And that's how he got in Fast and the Furious.
I was going to say, I heard Tarantino's a big fan of Fast and Furious movies, too, so... Actually, this movie came out like 5 years after the first Fast and the Furious, but Patrick's just
fucking lame, mate. All right, Paul Walker's brother also appears in the film. In an early scene, the path of the bullet is retraced going from one house to another. The Paul Walker character appears in each house. The Paul Walker character sitting at the dinner table in one house is actually Paul Walker's brother. Why did you write Paul Walker so many fucking times in that sentence?
I didn't write that.
Could have called him PW or P. Paul would have done fine. But he's named Paul Walker 5 different times in that paragraph.
Right.
It's a good game.
No, Kenny.
You have a microphone. Put it in front of your face.
I've taken my headphones off because everyone sounds fucking loud. I need my eardrums, mate. It's a nightmare. Trying to sabotage my hearing.
Are you okay, Patrick?
I'm livid.
You sound like me after Balls of Fury.
Yeah, well.
Okay, let's talk about this movie. How do you feel about the opening to this movie?
I don't know, I was throwing up through most of it. Had motion sickness.
So the way this movie opens is Paul Walker and some other homies who I thought was like one of the fucking hobbits was in the room with them. Ended up being the guy from Walking Dead instead.
Yeah, he's fucking massive. How did you mistake him from a hobbit, you goon?
No, he looked like, what's that dude? Sean Astin to me. I always get Michael Cudlitz and Sean Astin mixed up because they look so similar to me.
I don't know who either of those are.
Well, I'll show you pictures later. But anyways, so they're in a hotel room, and then some guys kick a door down.
Yeah.
Bring the guys to the ground.
Basically any mission from GTA 4.
One of the best games ever.
Right.
Yeah, even when you get to go bowling with your cousin, which is also a lot like this movie.
Roman.
A lot of Russians wanting to go bowling. Yeah, so then, I don't know, shit fucking ensues, and a dude whips out a machete out of his hood and attacks a guy with
I
it.
don't fucking know. Everyone's got a prison wallet that they're whipping stuff out of.
Yeah, so then the rejected boy band mobster, which is what I wrote down because that one fucking guy, the main son of the Italian mafia guy, just reminded me of like a fucking O-Town reject. Yeah, he pulls out his snub nose and he shoots a guy's dick off. Yeah, and then they find out that they're cops after they pretty much kill everybody. So it was cops that were trying to rob him. Dirty cops.
I mean, I knew that Paul Walker was a cop as soon as he saw the badge, and he reacted badly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because if you're a criminal, you don't react that badly to killing a policeman, do you? Not that I'm speaking from experience.
No, you probably do, because it's still more heat on you compared to like a normal person. If somebody kills a cop, the charges are going to be way worse than killing a normal person.
They don't know who was in there, though, do they? Because they were crooked cops.
Right, but when the cops investigate it, they wouldn't know that they were crooked. They could have some bullshit story that they were undercover or whatever it was, right?
They're all dead.
Yeah.
Except for one.
But they all had their badges. So when cops come to investigate, they just find a bunch of dead cops with their badges.
That was the other thing, is one of them got away. So that's probably why
but he's not going to grass himself in, is he?
He wouldn't what? Grass himself?
Oh, you don't know what grass is, do you?
No, I don't.
Like
what do
the
you...
green stuff outside?
Yeah, you know, like a grass. If you call someone a grass, it's someone that like dobs someone in. You don't know what dob someone in means either, do you?
Like a narc, a snitch?
Yeah, snitch, yeah. Right. You're a grass.
A rat.
Well, I mean, the dude had his dick shot off, so I think he'd be willing to say
he didn't
that...
survive. He shot him straight in the fucking head.
Did he shoot him in the head after? I'm pretty sure he survived the dick shot.
He definitely survived the dick shot.
He shot him after. But that's not the guy that survives. The guy that survives, he was the cop that interrogates them. He was in there in the beginning, and he took off as soon as shit went down. He jumped out of the room and took off.
But that wasn't the guy. Okay, so at one scene, they go into the hospital, and he's looking for the bullet.
Yeah.
And the doctor mentions that another cop was getting a bullet removed, but was in stable condition.
Yeah, it was probably one of the other people that did survive, but Dick Shot did not live.
Okay. Well, I was very confused because there was a lot of flashes and spinning and zooms and
for
stuff.
all I know, everyone survived.
Right. Except for the Jamaicans, apparently. The Italians and Russians hate the Jamaicans, from what we found out.
Yeah,
so
as is the Cold War true history.
Yeah, so then Joey gets home, and his dad is whacking off to the E channel again. So this seems to be a regular occurrence. He grabs the gun, or he gets the guns from the homeboys. They tell him to hide the guns. He goes home to hide the guns, and his dad's sitting there drooling over Girls Gone Wild infomercials, I guess.
Yeah.
Which you said you just thought he was just like a senile old man. How do you feel about that reveal later on?
Didn't really feel I was indifferent about it, honestly.
You pieced it together?
Oh, who fucking cares at the end of the day? A kid nearly got murdered. I don't care if an old man can't eat spaghetti.
No, I'm asking, like, do you understand why he can't eat spaghetti?
Yeah, because he got fucked up with a baseball bat.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you did piece it together. You just don't fucking care.
Nope.
Right, okay. Maybe that's the problem with this movie, is that I seem to be the only one that cares enough to be talking about it. We had three people in this room here.
I care enough to talk about it. It was just, there's a lot of stuff that seems irrelevant, I guess.
Kyle, what do you think of this movie? What's different for you this watch?
I don't know.
Like, what changed your opinion on it? Because for me, it was like my original few watches. It felt a lot more fast paced.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you guys both said that it was like fucked.
Yeah, that the one part that you were like, is this your fucked up part? Yeah, that was the fucked up part for us.
That's the part that most people were like, turn it off. We're not watching this.
Man, they got killed though. That was the best part.
No, I know.
Yeah.
You get your automatic payoff for it, but it's just the fact that you walk in and you start to piece together that, like, okay, there's plastic on the floor, which means that they're preparing for something. Then you see the body bags and the bone saws, and then like the dozens of DVDs of child porn with star reviews on them that these people have made.
I wonder if you can find someone IMBD.
What? That's IMBD.
If someone's like reviewed one of the tapes just as like a complete sick fucking joke.
It's just like Michael, 1 star. That's it.
Brutal. Jesus.
Yeah. So that was the part that grosses people out because, well, like I guess it's kind of shocking too when you're looking for Oleg and you don't know where he is, and then you find him in a fucking closet with a bag wrapped around his head.
Yeah, I guess getting that phone call would be a bit sketch.
That's also pretty traumatic. Just seeing a fucking child with a bag in his head. Like, what movie have you watched lately where that's like a mainstay?
I don't know. I feel like I've seen
a lot of children with bags on their head movies. Michael, 1 star. Didn't keep the bag on long enough.
There are other movies where like worse stuff has happened to kids.
Oh yeah, like a Serbian film, obviously. But I'm just saying, in general, for like the masses, for being a movie that's in the theater.
The mass, all 5 of them.
Well, no,
it made 6 million.
No, I mean like. Something that made it to theaters compared to a Serbian film, which wouldn't be shown in theaters, it would be kind of shocking.
Yeah, I get that.
It's kind of how, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie The Orphan, but there's a similar twist in that weirds people out a lot, which is mostly because it's a movie that was like theatrically released. If it was a straight-to-video one, it wouldn't be as shocking.
That's true.
Right?
I get that.
But yeah. Kyle Craig, you got any input on this movie? What did you think first time watching?
It was all right. I would like to see a version of the movie where they cut out Paul Walker's character and just follow Oleg, because that's a fucked up movie by itself.
Right. I thought he was the only character that was really important.
Yeah, there was parts where there was like almost too much back and forth, where it felt like parts where it was just Oleg was a little bit pointless, but parts where it followed just Paul Walker's character was even more pointless.
Yeah.
It was almost like throwing in random stuff to tie it together that was unnecessary, which is what I mean by you can cut out probably another half hour out of this movie.
Easily. And
make it like a tighter movie. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what much, like there's not much you can really change except for maybe get a new cameraman.
You saying the cameraman got Parkinson's was amazing.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox definitely was picking up the slack on this one.
Maybe take it easy with iMovie. You don't have to use all the effects in every angle.
This is a movie that I could see in like 20 years from now. Someone's like, we could remake this movie and it would be awesome.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And you could like it's a good, like it's a cool storyline and everything. It could be a good movie remade, like how lots of people are remaking old movies now.
Right. I feel like a lot of the things they tried to do could be more effective already now if they tried to remake this. I felt like, how did you guys feel about the crackhead scene? The guy who was like hiding out in the park when Oleg went to hide.
Well, I thought that was going to be the fucked up scene. I thought he was just going to get straight up like assaulted
by the boogeyman, apparently.
Yeah, but nah.
with superpowers, who had like the Joker laugh.
That was an unnecessary scene completely.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think the point of that scene was then, other than to just add another plot device point?
I guess, yeah, it was just showing how dangerous it can be for a kid to be just wandering about in a city.
Mm-hmm. A place where in the daytime they can go read comics and it's safe.
Right.
At nighttime is fucking scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was places like that when I was growing up where we'd, like by the school, there was like trees where we'd go and hang out and whatever, but then we'd find like homeless people's clothes and tents set up and mac and cheese somebody made the night before.
One night when I was quite young, me and a friend stayed over at this guy's house, and we were like coming back. It was probably like 4 a.m., something like that. But it was summer, so like it was still pretty dark, but the sun was coming up soon. But we just wanted to get back so we didn't have to help clean up after this party.
Right.
And there's this like big park in the center of the town where I come from. And we walk into the park, wheeling our bikes through. And then there's this like real long, quite wide pathway covered in trees.
You didn't have a silver snub nose carried with you, because
I did
apparently
not.
that attracts all the
But
crackheads.
there was like lights running all the way down it. And then right at the end, we saw these two guys. And they walked like just past the road. So they were going like the opposite way. So we thought nothing of it. We carried on walking. And then they came back and started fucking running towards us.
Like,
We fucking chipped so fast.
like that Jordan Peele movie. What's that movie?
Yeah. Get Out.
Get Out, where they just fucking sprinting at you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that.
So what happened then? You guys just bolted and got away, and you,
Oh yeah,
that was that?
I've never run so quick in my fucking life.
And
it was
you,
like every fucking weekend growing up on the west side.
Yeah, but it like
Walking in.
during the day, it's such a beautiful place.
and then just like early enough in the morning, there's just sketchy people.
Yeah, like it's dangerous to be out at sometimes.
Yeah, man. Even here, like this city's fucking so sketchy most of the times, and this fucking guy walks like 30 blocks home sometimes in the middle of the night. Like Kyle Craig's fucking like risky, brave fucking dude. I hope you carry or you're not carrying a snub nose tonight, because apparently you'll have interactions with hookers and pedophiles and
Not a shiny one. I spray painted it black.
perfect.
Avoid
Nice.
detection.
You'll be safe.
Edgy.
You just need one of these.
So if you were Oleg and you shot
Pulls
your
out the
dad,
knife.
where would you go and hide if you were a kid?
If I was Oleg,
Yeah.
Fucking home.
You shot your dad at home.
Yeah, he's gone.
Well,
in the
he's-
hospital
he's
now.
also not his
He's
dad.
not still gonna be there, is he?
he's also not his dad. He's his stepdad. I feel like if it was his actual dad, you'd still be scared. But I think there's less of a fear of your actual dad than there is of a stepdad, because there's like no blood relation, right? If if I shot my stepdad in the middle of the night, where would you go? I don't know.
My actual dad's.
I just go to my neighbors.
Right, yeah.
Like,
If you were a smart
his best
kid,
friend is his neighbor. Just go hide in the basement.
yeah, you would just run down the street, knock on someone's door. You are a kid. Granted, you're a kid with a gun, which may hinder your ability to find safe haven.
But you also just shot somebody. You think you might have killed them. You're probably scared now. If they survived, they're gonna kill you. You don't want them to know where you are.
How are they going to kill me?
Like
I've got a gun.
Oleg left, and when he met up with a hooker later on, he was ready to fucking leave town with this prostitute before she got picked up with the cops.
I guess, yeah.
Which is funny. They just picked her up for like no fucking reason. Did the pimp report her? Like, what would have happened?
Well,
Like,
no,
how would she
she's-
get arrested?
I guess she's a prostitute.
But she wasn't soliciting
But she
at that time.
There was probably an APB on the kid as well. The kid that just shot someone. They were probably
Right, but they
looking
didn't
for
even
him.
chase the kid. They just grabbed the hooker.
No, they grabbed him.
Yeah, they caught the kid.
Did they get him?
Yeah, that's when he got arrested.
I remembered him running away, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
He-
and I
he
wrote that
did.
down.
He did run, but he ran around, and they grabbed him.
They
there.
caught him. Okay. How do you guys feel about Oleg's dad then being the John Wayne story? Let's talk about that first. How that was like his favorite character when he was a kid. Then he came to America, and the first time he saw a John Wayne movie, he found out he died.
Well, he said he had a 10-minute version of the same movie. Like, fucking hell.
It's Russia.
To be
They
fair,
play
they
it
probably
in
could have cut
reverse.
this into 10 minutes.
In Russia, they're born from bullet holes. Right? That's probably how they played it. They just played it in reverse because everything's
Yeah.
backwards in Russia.
I guess.
But yeah, I don't like how they tried to make him like somewhat a sympathetic character later on when Oleg's mom started talking about how
Yeah, no.
he's a good man. He take care of me. I owe him everything. Right?
Yeah. Well, she said that she was owned by him just because he saved her life.
No, that's not why.
Well, he
Well,
didn't- he
yeah,
didn't
but
save
that's
her
not
life.
why. She's a woman, and men own women, and we all know this. To quote Patrick in the last episode, I love pretending to be a chauvinist.
Yeah, no one said that. No one recorded me saying that.
Okay, Kyle, you're being quiet there. You want to add something else to this? How do you feel about that kid scene? Like going back and revisiting it. Did it like get under your fucking skin like it did originally for me?
Well, yeah. Also, it's just fucking stupid that he didn't just run away when they opened the van door and he was chilling in there.
Yeah, but the stepdad was like right there too, though.
Kick him in the nuts and run.
Yeah, fucking bite, man.
Why didn't the kids run out when he opened the van?
Right,
Those kids are like brainwashed.
Yeah, those kids are stupid.
That's what I was wondering.
Oleg's Russian.
It's their fault
fine.
they were getting fucking sexually molested.
What, sorry,
Allegedly.
what's the non-sexual version of molestation?
I wrote a couple quotes down that I thought were funny. One of them was when the Russian guy got pissed off because John Wayne dies in the movie.
Yep.
And when Oleg goes to shoot the stepdad, before he does it, he says, "John Wayne was a faggot." I thought that was fucking hilarious. And then later on, we find out that Oleg runs into a hooker who's getting beat up by a pimp, who becomes a big main player in the movie. The pimp. There's so much stuff that happens in this movie, so you'll have to watch it yourself if you want to see the crackhead with superpowers and all the fights and stuff. But he says that he's like beating her because she's going to community college and he doesn't want her to be learning. And then he pulls out his knife like Kyle always does, and he goes, "You can go to school, but you're gonna give me my tits back first." And he fucking pulls out his knife.
Yeah.
I thought that was so fucking funny.
Brutal.
Yeah, and then Oleg has a random asthma attack, which is another plot device that was
Super pointless.
never comes back, except for when he goes to...
He never encounters any more stress at all.
Well, like, he goes to the pedophile's house, and they take his inhaler away when he goes to the bathroom, and that's it. Like, that's the last we see of that. And then... While Joey's looking for Oleg, he takes his kid to a full nude strip club and is just like, "Hey, sit in this car that has no roof for an hour and a half by yourself, kid. It's just the middle of the night. You'll be cool.
Yeah, man.
If I'm not back in an hour, call your mom." I thought that was fucking so weird. And like the entire movie, he's driving his kids around in a car that doesn't have a roof and just leaving them in there for extended periods of time.
It's true. You're already looking for a missing kid, and then you're leaving your kid susceptible to also being taken.
Right, and you're seeing supernatural crackheads with Joker laughs, and you're like seeing all kinds of shit. It's just fucking...
Yeah, man. It's stupid as shit.
Especially like later on when we find out he's a cop. That shit makes no sense.
No.
What about that scene where the cop opens the Coke in front of Oleg
Oh,
in
what
the
an asshole.
interrogation room?
It was funny.
Do you guys remember that? Kyle's fucking silent over there.
I'm just tired. Being
Uh,
honest.
Yeah, that's fair. How many times do you think the gun has switched hands in this movie?
At least once.
Good guess.
It's Patrick's at least three, or it's not three theory.
I'm no fingerprint expert, but I would say the whole point of this movie is to get the gun back so they can't trace it back to the mobsters. And I would say the amount of times the gun is transferred hands, the fingerprints are probably completely disappeared from that
Yeah,
gun. From
it's
that guy.
not by the prints. It's because of the when you shoot a bullet out of a gun, if there's markings inside the casing, when that bullet comes out, it's gonna have identical markings to every other bullet that comes out of that gun.
Right, but how do you know that guy fired it? How can you trace it back to that guy?
Well, I imagine a criminal...
The cop saw the gun.
Well, no, I imagine he owns the gun legally.
Possibly, but also that cop saw the gun.
But also, you can say the gun got stolen. They can't trace it back to you just because you own it. If it's not on your possession, it's on a crackhead's possession.
You can still
could say
get
the
charged.
crackheads
You
did
can
it.
still get charged for misplacing your gun.
Yeah, I don't think anything in this movie makes any fucking sense. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, I'm just saying, for like the main plot device of getting the gun back. See, my theory is he needed the gun. Like Paul Walker's character, Joey Gazelle. What a fucking name, anyways. That's like the worst undercover name I've ever heard. But he needed the gun to maybe put the mafia guys away. Like that's why he was keeping all the guns instead of throwing them in the river. Was because he needed the evidence for the end of the case.
Yeah.
So when one gun goes missing, that's involved in shooting police officers. It's probably the most important key of the evidence.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
But yeah,
I
if it was
also
based on
think I also think
fingerprints-
it's the fact that they told him to get rid of the gun, and the fact that he did a shitty job at it. He knows that he could die because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what he is. He is legit terrified about throughout the movie.
True.
Right, but
It's not blowing the case. It's him actually getting fucking murdered.
right. But how do you think like how long, if he wasn't looking for the gun, or he didn't indicate that the gun might be missing in any way by freaking out and panicking and leaving home. Like, if the mobsters would have rolled up that night and been like, yo, there was a shooting next door, was it my gun? He'd be like, no, why would it be your gun? I threw it in the river.
But they had no idea. That cop is the one who figured it out, that was the same gun, and called them and told them.
But how did the cop figure it out?
Because he went to the hospital and...
But he swapped the bullet.
He didn't.
No, he didn't.
He didn't get a chance.
He was that close, but he didn't get to.
Okay, so the cop found the bullet.
What did
and
he
traced
swap
it
the
back?
bullet with? No other gun was fired that night.
Well, I don't know. He had something
Yeah,
he was
he
reaching
had-
for
he
in his
had an
pocket
old-
he
Yeah,
was
he
going
had
to
the
swap with,
bullet
right?
from the other guy's house. Or from his house, sorry. That went into the wall.
Right, but like I'm pretty sure he probably was planning on swapping it with another bullet. That's why he had it in his pocket to swap, right?
That's
I think
kinda
that's what they were
That's what they
insinuating.
insinuated, that he had another bullet to swap it with.
Yeah,
But it wasn't the
yes.
one from his house that he was doing it. It was just, he probably has bullets that he could fucking
True.
swap out.
So my point is like how definitively could this cop tie it back other than just being like super circumstantial, just being like, hey, you're here at this time.
Well, the
I
point is
recognized
that
you from this.
he said he could manufacture a case out of anything.
Yeah, and also the neighbor of his that got shot described the gun perfectly that he saw.
And it's for criminals, it's not just the threat of being arrested. It's having an investigation underway, because you still have that heat on you. You can't do shit
Right.
while that's happening.
Yeah, that's fair.
So your entire business for a good 3-4 months is out.
Well, speaking of dirty cops, how about that cop that took his shit but didn't wash his hands after?
He did
It's
wash
a
his
lot
hands,
of,
didn't
a
he?
lot of dirty
No,
cops
no,
in
he
this
didn't.
movie.
He just put his belt back on.
He just literally put his belt on and walked out.
Fair, man.
And then like 5 seconds later, we saw him hitting on a waitress being like, give me some of that cheesecake. And she's like,
Nice.
you know, it's for paying customers.
Natural musk.
Yeah, man. I don't know. There was that one fucking line from Oleg where he goes, I'm sorry to his stepdad when he's trying to talk to him. And he goes, I'm sorry I missed. And then the stepdad beats the shit out of him in the middle of a restaurant. And nobody does or says anything about it.
Dumb as shit.
And the kid flips the table on the stepdad. Like,
Yeah. And nobody fucking flinches.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
What would you get in the middle of that?
Probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd fucking floor the cunt.
I could see Patrick doing it. I couldn't see Kenny doing it.
Are you kidding me? If I had your knife, I'd be like,
Okay.
I don't think you'd ever get anywhere near Kyle's knife.
and I know he'd poke me with it first. Yeah, I don't know. There were so many scenes that were unnecessary, like the poker scene. Like, I don't know, like why you would let the janitor take the gun and then immediately he'd lose it in poker. What, like, I don't get the point of that whole part. They could have cut that shit out. They could have just had like the guy found the gun.
It was just part
and
of
he
the
wasn't
chase.
at home.
Yeah.
And he went somewhere else.
It was just making it longer. The fact that he was kept trying to find the gun, and it was making it harder and harder for him to find it before his colleagues found him looking for the gun.
Yeah.
I think it was just to shoot that scene that he like falls to his knees in the sandbox screaming. One of the greatest cinematic performances
Fucking
in history.
stupid film.
I think it was just so you could light the mechanic on fire.
Yeah, I mean, well, like the pimp meets up with the mechanic later on and buys the gun back for $500 because he recognizes it from when Oleg pulled it on him earlier. The guy who was trying to get his tits back, if you don't know who I'm talking about. Yeah, he buys that gun while Oleg is in the pedophile's house. So it's like a weird crossover where you go from just focusing on 2 separate stories between Joey and Oleg's stories, and now you all of a sudden have his wife getting in there to do stuff. It's just like 3 different stories at once for a bit there, which was like too fucking much.
Yeah.
Joey gets his gun, or goes to get his gun back by going to the mechanic, and he lights him on fire with a welding torch. Is that what happens? Or was it like accidentally? I was writing shit down when this happened. Was it on purpose or accidental?
The guy attacked him with his torch.
Yeah, I think he fell on it. Yeah. I'm not. It was dark.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was accidental.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah.
He just keeps his foot on him and lets him burn.
So yeah, for me, the most disturbing scene and the most memorable is the pedophile scene. When they get to the house, and Teresa, Joey's wife, finds out where Oleg is because Oleg calls her from a cell phone and reads off the address from a pill bottle. And you hear Oleg fighting back when Teresa gets there. You hear him fighting. And the guy goes, take the kids to the bed. Or the girl goes, take the kids to the bedroom. Which I thought was going to be like some fucking weird sex stuff is what they were going to walk in on. But it ended up just be putting these kids to bed.
Yeah. Which weren't their kids in the end, I don't think.
And the kids were also awake.
They were probably drugged up.
Yeah.
Which is like real fucking weird. Did you guys notice how she realized Oleg was in the apartment? Because she searched a bunch and didn't see anything. Did you notice what she noticed?
No
Yeah, there was
pictures
no
of the
pictures
kids.
of the kids.
Right, it was that, but then she was looking around and she didn't know for sure. But before that, she noticed something.
Oh, the medicine in the cabinet?
It was the cell phone that Oleg put in the toothbrush holder.
Oh,
She didn't
yeah.
notice that.
There was that shot of the cell phone in the toothbrush holder, and she was looking at it,
Yeah,
and
I
then
think
she started
might have
freaking
noticed
out
it. Yeah.
and said, "There's no photos." That tension was crazy for me, where she almost walked out like 3 times, just thinking that Oleg was fine. That to me is like the part of this movie that I think is worth watching. Just that tension built up from that apartment complex. And just like the weird shots of the fucking witchy fingers in the shadow background,
Yeah,
which
that
made
was
no sense.
Kind of freaky.
What I read online was that was kind of a reference because their names were... Fuck, what were their names? The pedophiles' names. Their last name was Hansel. So it was like a throwback to Hansel and Gretel. And that was supposed to be like a witch thing that was happening. It was like
Fair.
supposed to be some weird tie-in. But yeah, so Teresa finds all that evidence that we talked about earlier, and Oleg's in the closet with a bag around his head, and she fucking shoots them in the head, the pedophiles, and then she like goes back to the diner, which we've gone back to 6 fucking times. Like it's the hangout spot for the gun apparently. And she says, "Joey, I got to talk to you." And he's like, "Later." And she's like, "Right fucking now," right? And then this is the weirdest line in the movie, so I had to write it down. She tells him what she did. She shot these people. And Joey just says, "Why couldn't you have just took the kid and left?"
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
He's a fucking cop,
No-
first of all. Second of all,
remorse.
like, fucking pedophiles. Do you know anybody who would just say, just take the kid and leave?
Well, what I probably wouldn't have killed them because that just put them out of their misery. I would have fucking...
Do you think it put them out of their misery, or do you think that it stopped them from having any more victims?
Well, what I would have done is fucking grabbed the kid, went right outside in the hallway, called the cops, and waited until they got there.
But then you're wrapped up in that with the kid.
So?
Their cops are looking for the kid.
It doesn't matter at that point.
Right. I would have taken the $100,000 as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw that out
Yeah, I
there.
probably would have grabbed that while I was there.
Take the $100,000 and leave. I would have took that money, shot them, and left.
Yeah.
Called the cops.
Because, and like, there's no way those people could have gotten away without coming out of that building because that like, they're in an apartment and the windows are fucking high, which
So-
is why Oleg probably didn't try going up.
The windows were also locked, and
Yeah.
the doors all had passcodes on it. One
Yeah.
that played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star when she unlocked it.
Yeah.
Which would have been the first red flag to me when I look in a house. Because I've never been in a house that has a passcode lock on the inside.
It's dead weird.
Isn't that fucking odd? Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, so then we find out that Joey tells Oleg his dad's brain damaged because he fucking beat him in the head with a bat when he was 14. Which I thought was kind of crazy. Just like a shoehorned reveal plot twist. I was like, they're trying to plot twist it.
Yeah. Like,
And they were like, this is why this guy can't eat spaghetti.
still another... That was probably one of the most irrelevant things.
And then what about the other plot twist that you find out that the homeboy that looks like Sean Astin was a snitch the whole time for the Russian mob or the cops, and Joey thinks that his mafia buddy's going to shoot him, and he ends up turning around and shooting that dude in the head.
I feel like that was mostly just a cop out
It's another twist,
to
man.
get rid of the tension that they were building up.
And then they find out that the cop is alone, going to pick up the money that he's ransoming them, and then they have a cell phone bomb that he delivers with a MasterCard ad
Yeah,
that Patrick noticed.
I'm sure there's some copyright infringement somewhere in there.
And one of the cinematically like best shots in the movie, and probably Patrick's most I don't want to say hated, but I don't know how to explain it. The one that bothered you the most was the slap shots to the face when they're at the hockey rink.
Yeah, it's like they shot it over
was so
5 days.
It's like every time he got hit in the face, he'd get hit in the eye, and
Well,
he'd
the first
be bleeding from
one
his
was
mouth.
the forehead,
Right.
and then it cut back to him, and he was bleeding from the nose.
Looked like he took it right in the nose, and his nose is broken.
Right.
The thing that bothers me about that is, were they professional hockey players or were they mob guys dressed up as hockey players? And if
Yeah,
they were dressed
I
up as
know.
hockey players, why the fuck did you put on all the equipment?
So I think the idea
if you
is
were a hockey player, surely you'd be like, Steve, are we allowed to do this here?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like,
'Cause we
I'm
are
pretty sure a hockey player is not just going to throw away his whole career
We're shooting
for a
pucks at a
fucking
guy's
mob.
head.
So I my thinking is it's not like an actual NHL team. It's like a lower tier team.
They still make good
but
fucking
also
money.
but also I think what it was showing was that these mafia guys have so many connections that even hockey players are under their fucking finger. And that these guys were there just to be enforcers for whatever, because they know that the kid likes hockey. They figured that this is probably some sort of twisted, tormented way to do it. That's the only way I can explain that they would end up at the fucking hockey rink of all places for a mafia meetup. Like, when you think of, like, mobsters, that's probably the last place you think of for a meetup.
Yeah.
It'd be like a backlot poker game.
Italian
normally.
restaurant.
Yeah. Or fucking, like a Russian fucking meth den. But yeah, then the Russian guy who loves John Wayne goes out in a John Wayne-esque blaze of glory. Takes off his shirt, shows his tattoo, gets shot for not killing Oleg. And yeah, that's pretty much the fucking movie. I don't know. There's not much else to talk about. There's too much fucking junk. In the last 10 minutes alone, it reveals that Running Scared is a prequel to the Fast and the Furious, and that's just canon now. It also goes with Oleg's mom blowing herself up with a meth den.
Yeah.
Joey gets shot by the pimp.
And dies.
And doesn't die.
But does
doesn't die.
Yeah.
He dies, but he doesn't. He comes back as Brian from the Fast and the Furious.
He does die.
Oleg's mom is dead. She blew herself up from the meth lab.
Nah, she's not dead. Don't
Oh,
die.
fuck. I got to bring up this line because this is like one of my favorite lines in this movie as well. So there's a
It's going
standoff.
to be the pimp.
There's a standoff between the pimp and Oleg. And the pimp says, "Say hello to my little friend." And then Paul Walker goes, "That's real original. You a cartoon or something?" And he goes, "I'm a Mac Daddy pimp." That
So
delivery is
dumb.
like the worst, and you guys did not react.
No,
It was horrible.
it was fucking awful.
It was
I
fucking
was
great.
done at that point.
Oh man, you were done half an hour
I was
before that point.
fully fucking finished.
And that's why I'm surprised you only gave it a fucking 3, or you gave it a 3. Not
It
only.
was because of all the different stuff that happened that kept me relatively entertained until the end half an hour.
Yeah. So is it insinuated at the end of the movie that they're in witness protection then?
I guess so.
That's
yeah.
the idea. All right. Well, if you want to see the sequel to this movie, go watch Too Fast, Too Furious.
Correction, if you want to see the sequel to this movie, go and watch The Conjuring. Fuck you both.
And fuck Judge Reinhold.
Yeah, fucking. Oh,
Patrick forgot to announce what movie we're watching next week.
Shaun of the Dead.
That was quick and sweet.
That's your pick?
Yep.
All right, I'm sick next week.